Hello, all. I hope you're doing well, especially in the midst of this crisis. It's April 20th, Monday. You're on the home stretch, just a few weeks left of the course. Many of you are working on your twangy partner presentation and papers. Some of you have already turned that in. Well done. You also have one more assignment due, and I thought I would add a few different points of explanation. But first, I just wanted to say I've been praying for each of you, especially during this crisis. I know I've connected via Zoom with some of you and email with others, but there's just a lot going on here. And I realize that completing this class really is a challenge. So I wish you well in these last few weeks. And as always, feel free to connect with me if you have any further questions. In your syllabus, I'm going to look at my syllabus here to refer to my notes. On page 6 and 7, the last assignment of this class is given in full description. I just wanted to remind you of a few things and also maybe give you some practical ideas on what you could use for your volunteer training project. So the bottom of page 6 starts the volunteer training project description. You'll notice right away that I listed pages vary. It depends on how long your outline is for each session. Now you do want to make sure that your outline is detailed enough that if you handed me that outline and I had to lead your training, I had enough information on the outline. So any materials that you'll be using, for example, passage or passages of scripture, YouTube clips or song lyrics or podcasts, or maybe you're using a Kahoot or some kind of handout or a survey or something like that, you want to make sure you include that in your detailed outline. So you'll pick one theme, as the directions say, for your volunteer training, and then you'll create a 4-part or 4-session long training project. You'll decide who your target audience is. For example, is this for junior high local church volunteers? Is it for young life volunteers? You decide who the volunteer audience is. There may be other audiences that make sense in your context. So make sure you're clear about who your audience is and you list that. The other thing you'll list is the theme, the overarching theme for the 4 sessions. And then on each individual outline for the 4 sessions, you'll list that theme and the objective or lesson aim for that volunteer training experience. So you have one theme, 4 parts, 4 different learning objectives. You'll also include any kind of information that I would need to, again, conduct the training if you weren't there. So what's your location site? Are you meeting your volunteers weekly? Is it an overnight kind of retreat? Maybe you're doing some things over a meal. You would decide on your outline what makes the most sense in terms of your venue. So make sure you list that. Also, on the top of page 7 in your syllabus, I just reminded you, list any and everything you're going to use in your training. Again, copy of a handout, any kinds of surveys that you're going to do, depending on your topic, you want to make sure you include that. Some ideas that you might want to keep in mind. You might already have something going on, and I appreciate that and respect it. Go for it. But if you don't, or if you're still in that brainstorming stage, you might want to think about the text that we've used in this class. For example, the fields text, there was one chapter on conflict. I'll just pull that out randomly. Maybe your theme would be conflict management, and the 4 sessions are talking about how your volunteers can interact with students in terms of conflict. There's lots of different resources out there in the area of conflict management. There's surveys that you can take. Obviously, there's passages and stories of scripture that connect with conflict, right? We've noticed that in both the Old and New Testament that you could use with that. There might be personal story from your own life that you could incorporate as well. Maybe times that you've handled conflict well, and other times that maybe you wish you would have chosen differently. So that could be one example of an overarching theme of conflict, and then 4 different sessions having to do with conflict. Another idea could be in your twangy book that you have read for this class. Maybe there are different chapters. Maybe there's one chapter you'd like to pull out. There's one about faith, I believe, like chapter 4 or 5 talks about faith and some of the differences in being irreligious, not really identifying. There's lots of different research about that. Although hers isn't a Christian perspective, there are others in the Christian arena that have done research. The Nuns, for example, Nones, you could use material from that book. Kinnaman's You Lost Me, you could use some materials from there as well. So your overarching faith could be spirituality in adolescence, or faith formation in adolescence, and you could use some of those materials as well. There might be another topic that you're interested in. Maybe you want to work on how your volunteers listen well. There's a nonprofit in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania that I've just recently become connected with. They actually do training in how to listen well. I'm trying to book them for a summer event that we're doing. So I haven't gone through the training yet, but looking at their website, I believe it's called Listening Well. Again, a nonprofit based in Harrisburg. You might decide that listening is your theme, that you want to connect with your volunteers about how do I listen well in a fast-paced world. Maybe there are scenarios or things that they could practice during your volunteer team training, whether it's on listening well, conflict management, faith formation in adolescence. You might want to include some kind of practice that your volunteers do together. Again, for this class, we're all about practical use. What can we actually use in ministry right now? So what training session, in terms of overall theme and the 4 sessions that go with it, what makes the most sense for you to work on at this point? If you have ideas or any questions that you'd like to run past me, please email me, let me know that. Be happy to Zoom with you or connect via email, whatever's most efficient for you. But I just wanted to give you some ideas on what you could be using, whether you use resources we've already covered in the class or resources of your own that you've put together. So again, Lord bless you during this time. I look forward to reviewing your twingy assignments and then finishing up with a volunteer assignment. You will have one more discussion forum in the last week to complete, and that's really take a look back. You'll see the modules already posted now, but you'll see it really is kind of a trip down memory lane. What are the things that you gleaned during this course? Again, kind of a fast-paced thumbnail sketch of youth ministry, but what are the things that resonated with you? Maybe some things that challenged you. So you'll note that in one last post on the last week of classes. Lord bless you as you navigate these next 2 weeks.